Today we'll be looking at some elements of good garden design. Lots of folks start their gardens by going to the nursery and getting plants and trying to fit them in to the space that they have. That's one way to go about it, but another way is to give some forethought to your design of your garden and the layout beforehand, and maybe even work with a professional designer. And today we have a good friend and colleague, Joel Tomlin, who's a landscape architect. I love this alley coming in here, and can you tell us a little bit about this
Sure, thanks,
design?
Andy. Absolutely. In this particular case right here, coming down the driveway, some of the techniques that we utilized that we think are good design here are creating a focal point that begins a destination around back here and framing the view down the driveway. And in doing that, part of the design program was to utilize the native trees here and keep them intact, but to try to enhance them a little bit and create a little bit more of a visual focal point. And we did that through creating a new area there for a boulder that we brought in as the main focal point, and tying the trees in with a landscape bed and taking the understory area there and mass planting them in hellebores. And Andy, over here on the side of the house, the alley of crepe myrtles frames this view, but we've worked in layers against the house here. Eleagnus is our backdrop shrub, along with endless summer hydrangea, and then a low hedge of a soft touch holly right here to wrap around the border and close the bed next to the house. We always try to incorporate a really good balance between evergreen material and non-evergreen material. For that reason, in our design landscapes, try to incorporate what in this case would be kind of a green belt of the hollies wrapping around the hydrangea there, which are typically planted on about 4-foot centers. And then, in between have planted a tree that, is clear trunk to 6 or 7 feet in an above head canopy there. That way we're able to integrate a good variety of plant material in mass, take away competition for weeds by not leaving large open spaces of mulch.
Joel, I love the backyard here, and I see that you have some wonderful design elements that incorporate the existing landscape, the woods in the back, and some new built design elements.
Andy, when we approached this project, what you're looking at here, the only thing that was existing was this actual concrete patio. The homeowner specifically wanted a water feature, which was part of the design program, and really wanted to create more intimacy in the space and kind of tie it to the woodland area there in the back. And analyzing the space and trying to determine the placement of that and everything, we realized that the best possible spot would be straight out of the back of the house here to your right at the furthest distance from the back door as a focal point to help utilize the space better by drawing everybody out to the back, maximizing the circular patio area here visually and functionally, and making the space feel a little bit bigger. We also were able to make better use of this circular patio functionally through creating sitting wall around it to maximize the space, create more intimacy. We like to create vertical interest as well in the area, so you'll like these. The native sweet bay magnolias here are framing the view of the water feature in the back, and the wall does the same thing and leaving an opening there too while allowing you to come sit and get very close to it.
Joel, I really love the formal garden here on the side of the house with the roses and all of the beautiful features in there. And then coming up here to the side of the house, you've created a hallway with crepe myrtle and this path. Can you tell us a little bit about the design process and all of this?
Sure, Andy. This is one of my favorite portions of this garden. In transitioning around the house here, creating the formal garden, the homeowner specifically wanted a formal garden area, which really, based on the property layout, only was feasible to put down in this area anyway. And in moving around the back of the house from the patio area, a lot of times people might want to just plant low stuff on the outside of a walk here to create a border, but when you can create some height in a canopy that's clear trunk with hanging overhead here 6 to 7 feet, crepe myrtles for example here in this case, I call it the crepe myrtle hallway. It creates a function, an outdoor function that you experience inside. And from an architectural standpoint, it was twofold. It is nice to be able to view the bark of the trees, but we could have done this as a green wall and taken away the view of beyond, but part of the technique that we utilized here was to be able to enhance the approach and cause one to see the formal garden beyond as you walked around through here. So it's kind of a double experience. You know, the outdoor hallway, but to leave a window here for your eye to see and approach and create curiosity, which then leads you onto the formal garden.
So once again, we're in a wonderful backyard on a 3/4 acre large lot, so there's a lot of opportunity and necessity for good design here. And we're standing at a location, this is where folks will drive in and park at the end of the driveway, and this is the view that the homeowners see when they come in. And I can definitely see some design elements here. Joel, can you describe what you've been trying to achieve here?
Sure, absolutely, Andy. We have this several things going on in this portion here. The alley of maples here, creating the illusion of depth for our entry vista off the end of the driveway. Focal point of the garden house, which is then a functional place to go. At the same time, one of the concerns of the homeowner was to try to block out the view of this house in the backdrop, which was quite challenging because of the size of it. So we utilized several techniques here to accomplish that. Kind of an alley of maple trees in cohorts with this one oak right here that frames a view, creates the illusion of depth, and takes you to the back right corner of the large backyard. The garden house helps do that, as well as the Japanese cedars behind. And then that, again, is a destination point.
Well, Joel, this is certainly very inviting. I'd like to walk down and see what's around the corner in the next vista. Well, our cameraman is now under the garden house, and we're looking at this beautiful vista in the back portion of the yard. And Joel, can you tell us about some of the design elements back here?
We've left this open area here as a sports and play lawn for the clients. Tried to enhance the view and the privacy with the river birches here on the right, giving us some vertical interest that relates to the scale of the house beyond in the other direction, while creating a line that the eye follows forward all the way to a recreated woodland. And if you walk up in between the grasses down at the end, you kind of catch the limestone rock and bench beyond. Takes you in a trail into the woods kind of to a new section. Yet we have separation from the swimming pool area here through the softness of the Adagio maiden grass over here. It allows us to break up a very large backyard, a 3/4 acre backyard, in a way that makes it a little bit more down to human scale.
Well, Joel, this creek and this section of the backyard are absolutely stunning. Can you tell us a little bit about your design goals for this section of the yard?
Absolutely. The pool area and the creek were a very important part of the design for the homeowner here. Obviously, functionally, the pool, the way that the creek, runs across the yard this way, this is kind of where they wanted to put it. So one thing that we did from a design standpoint was try to create the illusion that this 60 linear foot creek is coming out of a woodland area. And in doing that, we recreated a woodland here in cohorts with some amount of existing woodland that you can see beyond there that runs along their property line. One of the other techniques we utilized was a massing of evergreen material here in the middle so that your eye cannot see beyond that. And that's what sets up the trail that comes in on both sides and allows for a kind of camp out spot and fire pit beyond, and connects us, from woods through creek to the pool area.
This has been absolutely wonderful, Joel. And I've really learned a lot about design elements and screening, both see-through screening with pruned up material and evergreen screening and grasses just to soften and really create private areas, as well as creating these functional destinations in a yard. And I've really learned a lot, and I really appreciate your taking the time to meet with us today.
Great. Thanks, Andy, for
Thanks,
having me.
Joel.